been taken away as the last ban, so they can take it if they would like. Other options are, of course, that Lee Sin, because if you take away two of the powerful junglers, it really does leave Lee Sin as the last one, but I would expect it to be the Gnar locked in straight away. And
surprise, surprise, ladies and gentlemen, Gnar going to be locked in.
Not let it down.
Oh my goodness, we've experienced today a fair bit of terrifying Gnar, and we'll see whether it does come out again in the hands of Babip.
And Gnar, a good first pick, I feel, because First Mate, for those who remember his AD carry days, is famous for quite a few immobile AD carries, one of which being Draven. So
yep, Dr. Draven
can get in there, definitely disrupt what First Mate wants to do. Is a great AD carry in his own right, of course, swapping down from that top lane. And it looks like it will be Lee Sin and potentially Sivir.
Yeah, so Sivir looking to be picked up. And I actually like that in the hands of First Mate as well, because a little bit more immobile as well. Gets a little bit more of a consistent speed boost using that passive, but we've been seeing Sivir be so successful recently.
Yeah, and First Mate, I guess, excels on lane bullies, so he doesn't like to play things at scales. He likes things that can get in your face straight away. Yep. So Sivir, Draven, they both have that in common. Will be able to push out that lane and really exert a lot of pressure down on Stealthix and Moon.
Yeah, they are going to lock these in as well. So we'll see what Qlimax Crew decide to do in response to these power picks that have been picked up here by Symphony already, and not giving too much away about their team comp at the same time.
Yeah, I would expect Sybil to pick Rengar up here. We mentioned it as one of his most played champions.
That being said, Elise almost gets permaban against Sybil. This guy is one of the Elise players of the Oceanic region.
Yeah, I just think that Rengar is such a good combo, because one person gets caught by Rengar and you're forced to fight, and then Gnar just wins the team fight for you. So I do like Gnar played with that pick composition. So also look for potentially the Syndra to be a priority pick here for Katie. Plays it quite well in the mid lane as well.
Yes, it is going to be Sybil locking in his incredibly comfortable Elise pick. Sort of one of the only Oceanic junglers that tends to still make this work on a regular basis. We'll see how it goes up against Impaired's Lee Sin, and it's going to be Morgana locked in for Moon, or potentially Katie.
Yeah, we do see Morgana a little bit more in the mid lane as this patch progresses. I think it will be in Moon's hands just for that black shield to be able to go in there. It's so important to get it on Gnar when Lee Sin is about to kick you out of the team.
That is very
just
true.
Stop all of that disengage that can come through. So see what Aerie plays here. Of course, Aerie famous for a lot of really crazy supports. Used to take LeBlanc down into that bottom lane quite consistently. Now that we've seen a little bit of Syndra over in the LCK, he played it as well over in the Oceanic Pro League. So
he certainly did.
See what happens there.
He also would really like to pick up MF support. So sort of his decision-making there about what to pick in the bottom lane can vary quite a lot. But Yo-Yo Young, you're going to be picking up the Syndra, and you don't often say that that's a flex pick, but it is actually in this case. Yeah,
that's definitely a flex pick. Forever Together having that Aurelia in the top lane. That's a very First Mate ex-champion as well, so not much difference coming out of Symphony here. Maybe a little bit. If they've picked up a very similar player, of course, maybe it won't change their composition too much.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And having First Mate on the team as well, this is something we haven't necessarily touched on, but this guy was originally a top laner, moved to AD, went back to top, and now is back to AD, so still has a lot of those skills for those particular roles relatively high, so it's not too difficult to switch him between these positions. As Moon hovering over some champions for now, we'll see what he does actually decide to do once they get their team comp sorted out completely. And I actually really like what's coming out of Qlimax Crew here. It gives Babip some time to get his Gnar anger happening, and then he can jump in when they get these picks with the Cocoon and with that Dark Binding as well.
Yeah, and now they've added a charm to it, so a fantastic pick comp coming out. They've got a very good three-man gang squad in the form of that Ahri, Morgana, and the Elise coming through. A lot of high mobility. Katie's a good mage assassin player, so Ahri is definitely a comfort pick for him.
Knows the Syndra matchup really well as well.
Yeah, running it into a Syndra can be dangerous at times, however, because you kind of have to go forward and try and land that charm, and if you miss it and get stunned up, you can take a lot of up from burst out of the Syndra. So it is definitely a skill matchup, and he will have to try and play that one extremely carefully, especially when you throw Impaired on Lee Sin in there. Very, very highly volatile 2v2, but it looks like it might actually be the support, Syndra.
Yep, so Aerie gonna just flex his muscles here with his gigantic champion pool for the bottom lane, and it could even be a support Orianna. Like, I wouldn't
if
put that past him.
if we're talking about area, it could be a support Aurelia at this point.
Yeah, and First Mate's so aggressive. I mean, having that ball sitting on First Mate with like Command Protect, gonna have a bit of a shield. Also, the ball gives you just some static defenses. He could just be going super ham there in the bottom lane. But not going to be the case. It's actually going to be swapped over to Syndra. Going to be picking up the Ignite too. So.
Yeah, I was about to say typical Aerie style as well. There's an Ari on the other team and he locks in Ignite for himself. So not much health coming for First Mate here, but all in all, a very good teamfight composition coming out of Symphony. Of course, if you put that ball on top of a Lee Sin or Aurelia, he can really get in there and mix it up. But what they need to make sure of is that they're the ones, I guess, initiating these fights. If they let Babip and Katie get in there and mix it up on the Gnar and the Ari, it's just going to spell so much trouble.
Yeah, and it's just really scary having a Gnar on the opposing side just because that ultimate is so devastating and impactful if it manages to get off right.
Yeah, and it's funny because we speak about CC a lot of the times in follow-up, and Gnar is his own follow-up. He kind of gets that big Gnar, lands the boulders and the W across, and you just do not move.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating to play against, especially if there's terrain around. So, yeah, look for a lot of, I guess, jungle skirmishes to come out on the side of Gnar to really get him using that ultimate as best to his abilities.
Yeah, and we'll see how they manage to manage having Gnar get the rage that he needs in order to start these team fights just as he's transforming into that Mega Gnar, because that's what separates the good Gnar team comps from the bad ones, is when you can actually manage that one correctly. And also for playing against it as well. So if Symphony managed to sort of go in after that Gnar's worn off, Mini Gnar doesn't quite do as much.
Yeah, definitely isn't as impactful. Can help with chasing and things like that. Good kite champion. I think what this is I think Symphony recognizing the Gnar pickup like the Aurelia just because of the fact that would be able to split push continually with it and maybe just never even group up and let Gnar get into those situations. So look for Symphony to really run some counter dive here through the Orianna, through the Aerie, just ultimate in and out with all those balls and getting the nice big stuns up and just run the Aurelia relentlessly into the base trying to get a really good split push going.
Yeah, and I also think having On the Hunt in your wheelhouse as well is super handy, just so that you can use that extra movement speed to get the hell out of the way of this Gnar that's going to be rampaging and walloping through your team, because there's just nothing worse to get hit by a house and slowed really heaps and then stunned by this fat guy smacking you in the head. It's just awful.
Yeah, it certainly is a frustrating feeling. And I think that if we look at Qlimax's win conditions on the other side, we already spoke about the three-man roaming squad. Then they'll be looking to really dive, get in there nice and deep. And, yeah, as I said, just use Beba to really start these team fights off. So it's interesting. We're going to see maybe some split pushing coming out of Symphony to try and split the map up, draw people away. But in the same time, Qlimax are looking for these picks. So maybe it might even fall into their hands, be able to catch the Aurelia out. They don't want to expend too many resources on it, but if they can crush down Forever Together very early, pick up objectives for it, then the game really falls into the Qlimax Crew's hands.
Yeah, and that's right. And both of these teams now sort of on a knife edge. If they lose this series, they're out, and both of them with so much desperation. Of course, Qlimax Crew formerly unlimited and just pipped at the post, trying to get through to the 2014 finals, unable to get there, and they were devastated at that stage. Now finally trying to find themselves some redemption, and already in the lower bracket, and that's just terrifying. And Symphony, on the other hand, I mean, they were looking fantastic coming into this. We thought that they showed a lot of promise, but Rich Gang, a little bit too much for them. And now it's their final chance as well. And these are a lot of veterans, like First Mate from NV. I mean, this is the team with Heaven's Curse, you know, the man from Team Immunity who went over to Wildcard. You know, there's a lot of gigantic names on both of these sides, and they're really going to be battling as hard as they can to get through here.
Yeah, and after this pick ban, I think the Qlimax Crew have come out in front. I think they've just nabbed themselves a couple more comfort picks. And we're talking about the pressure of this situation, and what better way to, I guess, handle with it than Moon's Morgana, Ari on Katie, and then Sybil's Elise coming through as well. These are all comfort picks. They've played them so long, know the champions inside and out. So, yeah, that will definitely play into their mindset.
Yeah, and I very much like what you said about, you know, this Ari-Orianna matchup being a skill matchup, because every Ari matchup is a skill matchup. And we'll see whether Katie can land those charms, because they're so pivotal. And I think we'll probably look to see these charms becoming even more necessary as the sort of DFG does get phased out here just a little bit. Of course, still in the game. Thank goodness. I do love that item.
It's funny. We always say that about Ari, don't we? Like, yeah, it's a skill match every single time. Because if you dive and land that charm versus you missing it, it's just such a big impact on the game. But we are onto the riff, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, we're onto the riff with QMX or Qlimax Crew picking up the blue side and Symphony on our red. Yo-Yo Youngie wandering through, picking up a cute little shield as they get into lane or into the jungle, and it looks like we've got sort of a 5-man advance here. Spread out like they're searching for a stray dog or something like that they've lost in the forest.
So we definitely do have them guarding all entrances of their forest. No funny business going on level 1. Too much is at stake to really gamble that much for the first game. And I think looking at the team compositions, both teams will be fairly happy that they got what they wanted out of this one.
Yep. That being said, looking at the skins, we've got Dino Na and Cookies Morgana. So obviously, Qlimax Crew definitely winning at this stage.
And it looks like we're not actually going to have any action whatsoever. Both junglers look to be starting on the top side of the map. See where Impaired does go after that. Nice ward being placed down up top by, I think it was Aurelia.
Yep, forever together, getting a little bit of vision, making sure that that sneaky little Na can't do any more sneaking around.
And Impaired actually rotating down to the bottom side of his jungle, so maybe not giving away some XP to his first mate and Airy down there. No. I do like when champions that do have an easy time in the jungle, like Lee Sin, like a couple of others like Warwick, even Elise has a very easy time, that you do donate that first camp away just for the early level 2 that it does give you. Forever Together is going pretty deep into this jungle, trying to scout out. He knows that that's exactly where Sybil's starting, so will go into the top lane. Try and get that pushing, I would imagine, against the Na.
Yeah, and I like the Elise start here on the Gromp, just because she does so much single target damage. Of course, that Volatile Startling, okay for a bit of that AoE clear, but not quite as good as the fact that her Q in both forms is fantastic for those single targets. Katie going to take a Clockwork wind-up shot.
Yeah, and Orianna, one of the champions that we talk about that trades so well with auto attacks early game, just because of that passive that comes through, augmenting those auto attacks. Does have to be careful as level 2 is hit, though, just because of how much CC comes out with that charm. As we take a little look at the bottom lane, Airy going a little bit low. Moon just dropping that pull, trying to get the wave pushing. Of course, it is so hard to push against the Sivir, but if anyone can do it, it is definitely a Corki with that Phosphorus Bomb coming through.
Yep. And all of our members of the bottom lane managing to hit level 2 without too much trouble.
Yeah, and it looks like
going
just
fine
a
as well.
very, very standard set of... Forever Together actually letting himself be pushed in, which is dangerous against the Na, of course. With that long-range harass, can really annoy you while you are trying to farm up all these minions. Gets the first transform through, nothing much happening up there.
And Yo-Yo Youngie now with that Command Protect able to trade quite effectively.
Ooh, Katie missing out on the cannon creep. That's always depressing when that happens.
Most horrible feeling in League of
And it
Legends,
looks like Impaired's actually visiting the top lane. He's bumped into
another
Na.
one. Sorry, I'm concentrating on this. Babip and Impaired are going to be battling one another. Babip just going to head back into mini Na form just to be a little bit more adorable. And of course, Impaired doesn't want to fight that.
Yeah, Impaired actually, I guess, backing out of a fight, I felt like he could have taken a little bit further. Nair started that Duran's Blade, so if you can get the first pot out, would put Aurelia in a very good position. But he is going back up there for a little bit of a revisit. Maybe a little bit overconfident is Babbitt because he does have that ward down. Forever Together is definitely giving it away now, though.
Yeah, there's the ward coming through here. The bounce on top of Impaired's head as well, but the Equilibrium Strike is going to slow him down. Forced to use that flash. The double flash is coming through from Symphony, and Impaired able to safeguard just out.
Yeah, and we had some action at the bottom lane.
Down to the bottom lane. Airy was there for a sec. Now he's gone. See you later, buddy. That was so much damage.
Yeah, great patience from Sybil to stick around even though he got spotted by the ward. Airy had thought he'd gone back, so able to pick up a kill for his team. He picks it up himself, and Sybil will love that. We've mentioned his early aggression a couple of times, and he has no shyness about taking some early kills and trying to push an advantage on the other team.
Yeah, and he seems to be able to weave cocoons. Like, it's ridiculous the amount of cocoon percentage accuracy he has on this champion. Just super comfortable on Elise.
And we see, after a little bit of a trade on the top side of the map and the bottom, that probably does go in Symphony's favor. They got the first blood. They had an assist for it, as opposed to Qlimax Crew's 2 assists.
Moon actually hanging out here. The Dark Binding is actually going to land somehow onto Yo-Yo Youngie. He's ignited up as well. There's a dissonance for the movement speed. is going to be able to get out of that one just there with help of the safeguard. But Yo-Youngi's picked up Ignite here in the mid lane, and I'm not entirely sure whether that's the best idea.
Yeah, I agree completely, especially against someone as aggressive as Katie's Ari. Just going to be so hard to survive those all-ins without potentially a barrier or even a heal that adds so much to a 2v2 situation. Great roam coming out of Moon there, though, on Morgana. We mentioned how comfortable he is.
The needle with that Dark Finding as well. Oh, yep. Best objective in the game is going to be taken here by Sybil. Does a lot of damage to these neutral creeps with that % hit, and that Venomous Bite doing a lot of work in order to secure that Scuttle Crab. Fantastic. Yeah, so once again, Sybil hasn't left this bottom side of the map, really setting up a strong tent down here, trying to get his bottom lane ahead, maybe recognizing that First Mate and Ares synergy may not be fantastic because they haven't been together for long. Also waiting for Impaired to come through. Thinks he is in his jungle, but has just spotted him exiting now, although there are some pings going now. Yeah, Sybil actually pinging out Impaired, saw him there. Their pink ward actually going to survive here, as Impaired did manage to get a deep ward around those Raptors as well, as the Krugs are going to get taken down here by Sybil. So not as much action going on, but in the top lane here, I mean, we've seen Aurelia be very, very successful. So we're helping back up, and Babip on this Gnar, I mean, who's going to have the most impact as this game progresses? I think Gnar is definitely more of an impact. Whereas we have a little bit of an exchange. I think Gnar is more of an impactful teamfight champion. I just think that Aurelia can be played in such a way that it doesn't give Gnar that option with the split pushing that can come out. As we see, just some more farming. Actually, this is suiting Qlimax Crew very nicely, apart from in the bottom lane where First Mate is farming extremely well. Other lanes are definitely starting to pull ahead. And Babip, a little bit maybe overly aggressive here, as Forever Together does have quite a life lead. And as Impaired has spotted Sybil going up towards the top lane, so they know exactly where this Elise is. May even run into Lee Sin. Oh, actually using that Repel just to get to the Krugs. Impaired. They can definitely cut Sybil off here if they would like to. Impaired has to know where Sybil is roughly. Yeah, Babip has hit Mega Gnar here as well, going to wall up the rest of the creeps, and Sybil just going to continue rotating around, going in a bit of a merry-go-round situation here, as level 6 has been hit by both of our mid laners as well. This is where the action could potentially start. Both Spirit Rush and that Shockwave are available. Nice Orbit Deception hitting both ticks, as a Command Dissonance going to do the same. Yeah, of course, that true damage on the way back just does so much work. As well, the stun comes out. Yeah, Stealthic's actually getting caught up by that Scatter the Weak combo with the Dark Sphere. Nice follow-up damage out of First Mate as well. That's a good combination coming through, as Impaired just takes out another ward in the top lane. So we see the preference of the two junglers. Sybil very content to stay on the bottom side of the map for much of the first 8 minutes, whereas Impaired has just been up in the top lane trying to help out Forever Together, trying to get him a little bit of an advantage against this Gnar, who we know can become such an annoying late-game team fighter. But we see Sybil actually creeping into the top lane through the lane. Oh, another nut. Look at that combination as well. That Scatter the Weak into the Boomerang as well, just meaning that Stealthic's taking a lot of poke damage relatively safely here by First Mate. Yeah, so Sybil maybe looking for a little bit of a counter gank, although it has stopped his back once again, so maybe even the dive Forever Together has gone aggressive. Needs to be careful. There's the Gnar coming in. It does get the wallop as well, and just so perfectly baited on the side of Qlimax Crew. Babip with no hesitation on that ultimate. Yeah, none whatsoever, and the flash out of the brush to land the cocoon from Sybil as well just secured the kill. So great play out of the Qlimax Crew, maybe even going to be able to pick up a first turret for themselves. And they've started this game in much better fashion than the ones that we saw last week. Yeah, every decision just really well thought out, and Sybil has been exactly where he needs to be this entire game. It's been beautiful to watch. Yeah, and those double Durans really paying off. Babip gave up the first blood, didn't want to lose his lane, so went back in with a rather greedy purchase, but it definitely 15 CS advantage and a lot of the health of the turret now down. It's working out for him. Yeah, it certainly is. Stealthic's incredibly low here in this bottom lane. That's one Boomerang Blade, although he does still have that heal. Katie's coming around. Does have the Spirit Rush. Oh, the Dark Binding's going to land there as well. The Charm's available. First Mate, that Boomerang not going to be enough at all, and Katie just comes down, quickly nets him a kill. And that's really poor communication coming out of Symphony. They had to know that Ari was somewhere in the vicinity because she just completely walked out of mid lane. Good pink ward set up on the Bendy Brush around red buff just to make sure that he wasn't scouted on his way through. Also used his trinket to make sure he got through that brush. So really nicely played, and goes lots of gold to spend on the side of Stealthix as well. Probably picked up a couple of his Trinity Force components. you know, I would say most likely a Phage and that Sheen.
Yeah, and only 10 minutes in, 3 kills to 1. They've built themselves up an 1,000 gold advantage, which is nothing to be scoffed at this early in the game.
Yeah, really, really well played out. As Impaired might get collapsed upon just a little bit. Dark Binding, he's going to find his target. Flashed immediately. There's the Cocoon there as well. The ultimate is going to come. 2-man Shockwave by Yo-Yo-Youngi, but now he's getting turned around on. It's a nice exhaust by Moon, but Yo-Yo-Youngi has lived through it. The Orbit Deception not going to come back through, but you can see, look at the consistent damage. Holds onto his flash to the last minute. Aries come round. The unleashed power from the support Syndra was enough to take down Katie as well, so really nicely played.
Yeah, that would have been so confusing. He's like, I thought I was playing against an Orianna. But
where's the other mid laner?
There's Syndra swooping in for the kill. Nicely played by Airy to get that one back in his favor. Moon's been terrific at the start of this game on Morgana. Been a part of 3 of the 4 kills and has looked like he's had the heat-seeking binds coming through.
Oh, yeah, and then immediate flash into that Soul Shack was like, yep, got him.
Yeah, just such decisive play. Looks like they are looking to start up the Dragon. No, just getting a ward in there. The minion wave bottom lane is so huge.
Yeah, First Mate's going to have an easy time pushing this one at the turret. Probably just going to ricochet through the minions out the back as well, but we do have Stealthix coming back around, so he's going to be able to protect it for now.
Yeah, and First Mate, 90 CS at the 11-minute mark, has transitioned back into this AD role very nicely, keeping up with Stealthix. And you mentioned previously the relationship that Siva has with Corki and how she is able to push him in and, I guess, absorb a lot of mana from that Phosphorus Bomb.
Yep.
How do you think they transition mid-game? Because I haven't seen, as we have a little bit of action.
Nice Coon.
I haven't seen a Siva in Oceanic competitive player in a long time.
Yeah, it hasn't been since, I think it would have been the autumn competition that happened very early in 2014 where everyone was playing almost only Siva. It was hilarious.
In the top lane, we actually have Forever together.
Oh, Babbitt taken down so incredibly low.
Does have his flash available. Must have been waiting on the cooldown of Q, and Babbitt able to get back to his turret. But wow, this Aurelia, if you can single-handedly fight a Gnar off, that's a great spot to be in. Gnar, once again, very greedy. Whoa.
Oh, that's going to be the Shockwave coming through onto Katie just to deter him from being in the lane. I don't think Yo-Yo-Youngi thought that he was going to be able to pick up any kills there, but maybe wanting just to put enough pressure on Katie to show that he's not going to be able to help out for any dragon attempts, maybe.
And maybe thinking that now Impaired can come in for a nice gank because Katie, it has summoner spells on cooldown. So without that Spirit Rush, won't be able to do anything to get away from it. I'm really starting to question this Gnar build. Has gone for a Phage. I mentioned that I like it if you're a little bit ahead. However, if you are falling behind on Gnar, which is what is happening now in the top lane, you need to make sure that you get tanky for these mid-game fights. Otherwise, you kind of become irrelevant.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, see whether he does manage to make it work. Of course, wants to turn it around if he can. He might need his friend Sybil up here, though, because that was when they were having success.
It looks like, once again, the lanes are just going to reset. Nice shot coming out of Yo-Yo-Youngi. Has picked up his Chalice. Looks like a DFG will be the first item on Katie's side, looking to get those assassinations in. In the bottom lane, we're a Phage and a Sheen against the BF sword as well. So, looks like Affinity Edge will be first item out of First Mate. Will be interesting to see if he will go for that Yomu's Ghostblade or a Static Shiv in his build. We've seen a little bit of both recently. As Babbitt needs to be so careful Impaired in this top lane. His jungler is recalling, so if he plays aggressively here, he's in a lot of trouble.
Oh, the house hits Forever together, but Impaired's now here. He's going to get the insta-kick onto Babbitt, who's going to wallop both of them. There's the Gnar for the disengage. Impaired's almost dead as Babbitt turns back into Mini Gnar as well, but the flash from Forever together going to secure the kill, but a valiant effort from Babbitt.
Yeah, we see the value of Gnar there. If he had been able to stay Mega Gnar for a little bit longer, might have been able to get some more work done, but in the end, he dies once again. This is really nice play out of Impaired to get his top laner going. You must think that there's a lot of pressure on Forever together. First game in this is a relegation game, and he's coming out fairly nicely for his team.
Yeah, exactly right. And this is exactly where you need to start showing up because it's crunch time for these teams. His First Mate now left on his own here as Airy going to do his signature roam. And it is about time that Symphony gets some vision down around this dragon because, of course, Qlimax Crew had all of the wards there just previously.
Yeah, and it looks like the top turret will fall, so maybe the first one in the game going over to Qlimax Crew. Symphony, sorry.
Sybil going to get the most worthwhile objective on the map in the Scuttle Crab.
And it looks like a 4-man gank coming in on this bottom lane. First mate must know something's up because there's so many missing people. Has elected to back off, but he's got Airy here now. They might feel a little bit overconfident to go in on this one.
Now we'll see what First Mate wants to do. Known for being aggressive. As we do have Yo-Yo Youngie heading around to the side here as well. Oh, First Mate going to be using that spell shield, so even if that Dark Binding had have hit, would have just meant a little bit more mana for First Mate, and he is going to be absolutely safe around here.
Yeah, and good play from First Mate, cheating towards the brushes in his lane, understanding that they didn't have that little entrance into the River Warden and not wanting to go anywhere near what could be a potential Morgana as well as that Elise. So in the top lane, turrets are now equalized. Gold favor back in the Qlimax Crew. And really just a very even game across the board so far. Trinity Force picked up for Aurelia though, so that's the first major power spike of the game probably. Yeah,
and we do have a Giant Spell onto Babip now, so wanting to become more tanky as you mentioned, so sitting on the phage for a little while.
Katie's also managed to
Impaired gets caught by a Dark Binding as he comes in to try and go for a bit of a gank, but
Impaired's also, not Impaired, sorry. Katie's also managed to pick up that DFG now, so look for him to start roaming around the map and trying to get those assassinations going. As we might see actually a Dragon being attempted. We have Impaired in position once again. It's 16 minutes into the game, so this is fairly long. Maybe not the pink ward coverage they would like, and all their sweepers on cooldown, so we'll have to back out.
Yeah, and both Airy and Impaired not quite at the health levels that they'd want to. And Sybil just proving me absolutely wrong by missing that cocoon.
And once again, Babip forced out of the top lane. This Aurelia is starting to get a lot of work done with that Trinity Force. As soon as he picks up the Mercury trades, feels like he will be able to do some work against this Nah.
Yeah, well, does have a cloth armor sitting there, so might be going for, you think, maybe the Frozen Heart build here?
Yeah, I think he'll choose to go for a Randuin's Omen just because there's not many attack speed-based champions and the health will be so important in this game. I think if it was any other AD than Corki, yeah, probably Frozen Heart, a very good pickup on Aurelia because of that cooldown reduction.
Yeah, the cooldown reduction really important.
Yeah, I think that this game, Randuin's Omen just makes so much more sense.
Yeah, okay, we'll see whether Forever Together does decide to go with that one as this mid lane outer turret for Symphony is going down incredibly low. Nice charm going to land onto Impaired.
Just letting it know he can hit the charm.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Dragon Rage Kick can be traded for a Foxfire. So Katie going to win out on that one, you could imagine, as far as the numbers concerned, ticking down.
Yeah, and there were 3 members actually in the mid lane for Symphony, so I think that they wanted to get something going for Impaired there, but he just got a little bit ahead of what his team was expecting, and in the end had to disengage with that Dragon's Rage.
Yeah.
Ooh, Sybil needs to be careful here.
Oh, we do have the stun not landing. As Moon comes around, a Dark Binding's not going to hit, but there's the Flash Soul Shackles once again. Airy flashing over the wall, but doesn't break the tether here. The Cocoon after the flash. Sybil's going to be able to easily make sure that kill comes in, and the teleport from Babip was fantastically timed in line with this Dragon.
Yeah, and you feel that will be the first Dragon of the game going over to Qlimax Crew. There's absolutely nothing Symphony can do in regards to this one.
It's just a perfect catch, exactly when Qlimax Crew wanted to.
Yeah, a little bit of over-aggression. Airy missing that stun out there with the Scatter of the Week was just a little bit, I guess, of a misplay. And they're just in such a nice spot with their power spike, and they might not be done. Babip is in on Impaired now.
Yeah, gets Hyper there as well. There's the flash. Gonna miss the charm, though, but that doesn't matter. Impaired's not going anywhere. And he is off the map into that Death Chamber. Nice pickup by Katie.
Yeah, and now Qlimax Crew really starting to take control of this map. They've got 2 turrets. They've got the Dragon. Built themselves up a 2,000 gold lead relatively quickly and looking to push down this middle lane, although it looks like StealthX will just be going bot, looking to pick up that big minion wave and potentially the last outer turret.
Yeah, and there's a lot of wards coming out of Qlimax Crew here. They just have so much control this game, exactly where they need it, and they're flawlessly executing what they obviously planned a lot coming into this game.
Yeah, and they're really starting to come together as a team. We mentioned how strong they will be in these teamfight scenarios after they get a pick, and that's exactly what they did. Able to get a pick off Sybil. Yep. Get in there, pick up a teamfight victory, pick up another kill, and they've picked up the last outer turret. So flawless play coming out of Qlimax in about that last 3-minute period from about 16 minutes.
Yeah, and it looks to me like Forever Together, their sub or their sort of stand-in player here coming through for Symphony just because Missouri has left the team is really where the hopes of Symphony lie.
Yeah, it's weird. First mate playing extremely careful. He was known for his very I guess, aggressive AD carry style, but then did get a little bit of criticism before he swapped back to top about being extremely careful in some team fights.
Yep.
So 0-0-0, the scoreline does have a 24 CS advantage, but you would want him to be a little bit further ahead, and he might die here.
Oh, Popsy on the hunt. That's a really, really nice Frost Queens as well. Going to get the Soul Shackles. There's the Dark Binding as well. The layering of CC is just too much. And First Mate's going to fall down.
Yeah, and he fell down with both Summoner spells available.
He had no opportunity to use either of them.
He could have definitely flashed his Frost Screen's Claim, as we have some more aggressive in the mid lane.
Oh, the flash out of the way. The hula hoop coming through around that ball as Babip's now going to get caught up here just a little bit. The Unleashed Power going to come through, not doing quite as much damage as we generally understand. As actually Moon's going to try and get the stun here. Forever Together coming through, doing a lot of damage. That hidden style doing a lot of work. Scatter the Weak comes through and stuns up
Ares been
Stealthix.
caught.
Ares got caught. There's the CC layering. Stealthix with definitely enough of that burst damage with the Phosphorus Bomb, and Qlimax Crew just turning everything around.
Yeah, very unorganized play out of Symphony there. Didn't prioritize any target. Got a lot of people extremely low, but weren't able to pick up anything. And in the end, Qlimax make them pay by picking up another 2 kills.
Let's see whether Symphony can turn it around. They just need to get together with their thinking about this game and make sure that they can get those shockwaves and engages when they need them to, because they have a devastating wombo combo if they get it to work correctly. Yeah,
I think they just need to wait out for the next dragon. That's about 2.5 minutes away, I think, at this point. And I guess really lock down a good solid team fight with that Orianna ultimate and getting Aurelia into the action. Aurelia has built up a CS advantage, is nice, and
everyone on Symphony has a CS advantage, so this could be where they manage to get their opportunity to get back into this game.
Yeah, but they just need to execute in a team fight scenario. Nah has now picked up that Randuin's Omen, so is looking a little bit tankier for these team fights coming up. But I think that at this point, Aurelia still definitely has the edge.
Certainly does. This Trinity Force Power Spike still kicking in. Does have that Giant Spelt now, as well as the Cloth Armor in the tankiness department. And as you mentioned, of course, that Randuin's Omen going to be super helpful this game, as we have fairly large push of 4 members strong here from Symphony here in the mid lane, as we do see the Scatter the Weak combo landing on Acadia there. The Black Shield going to be used, and the Spirit Rush
away.
Oh, as On the Hunt has been popped here just to escape. You were talking about the fact that First Mate may not necessarily be as aggressive as he needs to be, and Sybil going to get caught by the Sonic Wave. Nice 3-man shockwave there, and the Repel to come through from Sybil. He's going to have to try and get out, though, because he's very, very low. That's a 2-man Scatter the Weak coming in as well, and Forever Together. They can't stop him. This Black Shield doing so much work. Transcendent Blades, he's flashing around as well. The DFG to come in on him, but he shuts down Stealthix. It takes them so long to kill him. And in the end, Symphony going 1 for 2.
Yeah, and able to pick up the shutdown. Did go extremely deep, however. Could have maybe just turned around and taken out the Gnar and left his team in a little bit better of a position, but they may also get mid-turret for this. So nice objective pickup for them also. 2 for 1 and the mid lane turret.
And you can just see how powerful Aerie is in these team fights as well. The Scatter the Weaks landing onto multiple people with a little bit of extra cooldown reduction has picked up those Boots of Lucidity, so can be throwing these champions around as we see it again.
Yeah, so the key here is to watch for Yo-Yo Youngi's Shockwave. Hits 4 members and just ties them all up. In the end, I think Forever Together actually goes a little bit too deep in here, trying to get Stealthix out just on so little health. Not able to hit the Transcendence Blades, but in the backline, Babip just very, very tanky, takes a long time to kill, but eventually falls.
Yeah, and I did actually quite like it out of Forever Together, just because, you know, he made sure that everyone was focusing on him and it meant that his team could just solo kill Babip. And Gnar probably strong enough to be counted as about 4 champions, so that's a bit of an even matchup.
As we see, they picked up the Scuttle Crab on Qlimax Crew's side. Now,
nice charm going to land on the Forever Together. There's the Orbit Deception as well. Look at the burst coming through. Stealthix picks up the kill.
Yeah, and that's the tankiest member of Symphony just being absolutely destroyed there.
At the perfect time his dragon comes up.
Yeah, this will mean another dragon as well. So great control from Qlimax Crew over the all-important dragon objective. In response, Symphony will try and push mid lane, but they can't really get much done.
No, they've cleared out that wave. Don't really want to risk going all the way down for that inner turret, so instead just going to mill about their Raptors a bit, which may not necessarily be the strongest tactic that they could come up with, but of course that dragon, there was nothing that they could do. They just didn't have the key member here. And we're saying so much is resting on Forever Together's shoulders.
Yeah, and it's so disappointing because Yo-Yo Youngie had just picked up his death cap as well, so was in a position to really swing that team fight.
Oh, yeah.
But one member getting picked off, we say it over and over again, has just led into a really poor situation for Symphony.
And Qlimax Crew actually rotating after that Dragon down to this inner turret in the bottom lane. Going to get a nice bomb there onto First Mate. Stealthic's doing a lot of damage now that he has that Last Whisper and the Trinity Force combo.
Yeah, that's a really weird build coming out of Stealthix there. Don't like it whatsoever. The mixed damage that comes out of Corky means that you don't have to pick up a Last Whisper for 2, 3, 4 items most of the time.
Exactly.
So would have probably done a lot more damage with an Infinity Edge or a Blade of the Ruined King, but that's obviously his preference, and let's see how it works out for him.
Yeah, see how it goes. Of course, and they're also doing a lot of their damage via Burst, which is mostly Corky's rockets and phosphorus bombs. So that 40% armor penetration doing 0 in that case.
Yeah, and looks like they are just trying to siege up and push these waves out now, get a little bit more gold for themselves. I think the next item they're waiting on is the Zhonya's Hourglass out of Katie. Make sure that she can get that stun down on the charm down, sorry, dive in there and then be able to Zhonya's up and let the team follow through for the big team fight win. Ooh, actually going for a death cap. That's an extremely aggressive Ahri build. Normally when Ahris want to go aggressive, they pick up the Void Staff as their second item, just for some extra penetration, but a death cap just means that there's going to be so much burst if that charm lands.
See whether he can actually land that charm. We did see that he manages to hit Impaired under his turret fairly easily, even though he didn't actually do anything about it. But we have seen examples of this charm being landed relatively effectively, and they're going to need to get their warding down so that they can set up these moments
the blue
to get
is coming through. Yo-Yo Youngie really needs to pick that one up. Does manage to secure it, so that will be great for Orianna. Maxing out that cooldown reduction as well as all the mana that she can burn through with that ball movement in a team fight.
And having the ability to move that ball as often as you possibly can is really, really important, as Babip's just going to turn into a big boy now. He's going to throw rocks at things, and it's going to be really, really fun for him. As Symphony, they have a pink ward in that little raptor brush.
Yeah, and true to their... Oh, no, Moon, you need to be so careful.
Oh, so close. Very nice reaction speed on that black
True to their
shield
composition, however, they're staying as 3 members and trying to rotate around. They've also been joined up by Stealthix here, so if they can get a pick in the jungle, they have a lot of CC. As Moon's had to flash away.
Yeah, getting a little bit overly aggressive is Moon, but I like it. It's better than being overly passive.
Yeah, so what he's trying to do is he's trying to be the catalyst for his team and be the playmaker. He's 0-0-8, so having a terrific game so far. 80% kill participation as support, but needs to be careful now that that flash is down. Of course, Morgana's love to use that flash offensively to get down a nice Soul Shackles. Yeah, we've seen Moon do it twice actually already. Babip actually getting Blade Surged onto here. Doesn't have the... Oh, there's the Evolve coming through just at the right time. Randuin's is going to be popped. Trying to turn this one around actually. Has some possibilities to land that Gnar if he wants to as the Transcendent Blades comes in. There's the Gnar and there's another boulder, but Forever Together just so much consistent damage. He's got the red buff. And he's going to be able to... Oh, doesn't choose to flash over the wall. Needs to make something happen for his team because they've just given up a free turret, and that could have been a kill if he had gone over the wall. Maybe a little bit of a misplay. He had that red buff, had the slow down, so... And also knew that every other member of Qlimax Crew was in that bottom lane. Yeah, so... Forever Together still exerting his dominance in this top lane, showing that he is indeed a little bit stronger than Babip at the moment, but you would think as this game goes on, that will start closing even further. Really needs to ride out this power spike right now. Certainly does. Got to start making some assertive plays, believing in his abilities to just Aurelia the heck out of people, which is a thing. Aurelia is a verb as well, as you know. As we see, the Lock of the Iron Solari being picked up by both junglers, so worried about the magic damage that's going to come out of both Yo-Yo Youngie and Katie in these team fights. Try and get some more utility for their team. Sybil having a beautiful game on this. Elise 2-0-5. Definitely being more of a playmaker. And Babip just jumping over a wall. Yeah, looking really cool as Mega Gnar as well. I don't see as many of the Mega Gnar jumps. Sort of like the bounce. A little mini one. Yeah, and teleport is up a minute until Dragon, so look for Qlimax Crew once again to try and get advantage through vision over that part of the map. You can see they're just trying to choke out Symphony now as well, claiming control
have a lot of these choke points with their own wards in Symphony's jungle.
Yeah, and in the Oceanic meta, it's a lot about vision denial as well, and they've really done that. Being able to sweep out all of the wards up until the jungle. Top side looks much better for Symphony, but bottom side, they're completely blind going into that. So they will struggle to have to face check this one, and there's nothing scarier than having to face check a Morgana and an Elise, just so much lockdown CC, not to mention Katie's Ahri.
Yeah, exactly. And Symphony really need to make a move on this dragon as well, because that first one's so important, and Qlimax Crew already have 2, and Symphony none yet, and really want those extra stats.
Moon looking to go there as
Frost
the
Queen's
Frost Queen comes out.
Sybil tanking up that one. Another Frost Queens just to show that, in fact, Moon can do it too.
It looks like rotating down into this dragon. Wow, once again trying to set up a pick before it starts, and they've got it.
There's the charm actually onto Impaired straight away. Airy tries to scatter them out there as well. Sybil pretty tanky at this stage as the Transcendent Blades comes in.
The Gnar
and the Wallop, the Gnar misses, but the Wallop does work. And look at that shockwave. It was huge. Sybil and Moon both getting stunned by that Scatter the Weak, but it's not enough. Katie picks up the kill on Impaired.
Yeah, Impaired goes down without even using his ultimate in that. Airy also didn't use it, which could have been great in that choke. Good shockwave came through from Yo-Yo Youngie, but in the end, probably not enough. Another dragon going to fall in Symphony's favor. And
2 members are very, very low in Moon and, of course, Sybil, but they are going to be able to take this dragon, and Symphony just a little bit too scared to go in.
Yeah, and I'm really starting to question First Mate's play. He is 50 CS up and doing absolutely nothing compared to Stealthix, who is really putting out the burst damage. Now picked himself up a BF sword as well, and looking so strong on this Corki.
He certainly is, and First Mate has hit a big power spike as well. Does have the extra Vampiric Scepter on top of his Static Shiv and Infinity Edge combo, which is such a huge point in the game where you want to start making things happen. You want to hunt people down. Your ultimate's called On the Hunt. Get on the hunt, please. That's what you need to be doing.
Exactly, and I really feel that the pressure is on him and Forever Together to dive into the team. He needs to get some good positioning going to get some auto attacks off, because he really hasn't done much in these team fights so far.
Yeah, hasn't really found the time to. Of course, On the Hunt, more useful in these sort of more open fights, so you can quickly all collapse at the same time, but I don't think he has much of an excuse as to why he's not trying to get amongst it a little bit more.
Yeah, and so we see Babip just farming out in the top lane. Is actually closing that CS advantage. Now picked up a Banshee's Veil as well. So he's looking much scarier at this point in the game, and missed the Gnar last team fight, and you must think they won it without the Gnar. It was a complete airball. So if he manages to land it next time around, then the team fight could be even worse on the side of Symphony, and they need to figure out what they're going to do against this team composition.
And if you think about how devastating a Gnar plus the Orbit Deception combo is as well, because you get a Gnar, you line everyone up against a wall, and then Orbit Deception gets like double hit on everyone, and there's nothing they can do about it.
Yeah, so watch for that combo coming out. Looks like they're rotating towards the top side of the map. Once again, clearing out complete vision. You understand exactly how they want to play this composition. Bind just missing. Impaired trying to get some vision back for his team. Has, of course, got that sight zone, like a lot of Lee Sin players do like. But just complete control of the top side of the jungle in the hands of Qlimax Crew.
Yeah, and Babbitt transforming at a time that he'd probably like to, as everyone from Symphony is collapsing around. Oh, the Dark Binding going to be flashed out of at the last minute, but not the Cocoon. Sybil's Spiderling is going to get Sonic waved up there a little bit, and the inner turret now going to be... Oh, it's a double stun coming through from the Scatter the Weak. As Impaired running forward, does hit his Sonic Wave, but that hits a Banshee's Veil. Not quite exactly what he wants, as the ward is going to be taken down by Forever Together. So not quite the fight that's going to decide anything, but
and there's just too many threats on Qlimax Crew. They catch one person, then they're too scared to make anything happen on the side of Symphony, who really at this point only has Orianna. First Mate does a hell of a lot of damage, but isn't able to hit anyone that isn't Sybil or Babib. So not able to get onto that backline, and Impaired looking for maybe a kick into the team, but hasn't really got the flank he's looking for. They need to get control of their own jungle's vision and then look for some flanks to come out of Impaired. Neither nice stun coming out of Airy, but just not able to use anything from it.
Yeah, it's just what's happening. And Forever Together now trying to split push off to the side. Qlimax Crew, though, everyone has pick potential apart from Stealthix. Everyone on the team. So anyone gets hit by any of these CCs, as the charm's not going to land, but there's the Flash Nut. That one's going to get whiffed, as well as the Dragon Rage kick's going to come in, but it's going to be enough to net them that inner turret. Don't know whether Babip really sort of meant to just use that as a zoning tool. I think he probably actually wanted to hit people with it, but not going to happen as he throws a house at the last minute. He's pretty upset. I mean, if you're throwing a house at something, you must be pretty upset.
And we see once again Qlimax Crew able to pick up an objective through just forcing their way down mid lane. 4,000 gold in the advantage now, have picked up every dragon so far, and if they go back and shop, they have some pretty nice items.
Dark Binding and allowed to Yo-Youngi. There's the charm coming through as well. The Phosphorus Bomb auto attack with that Trinity Force easily enough by Stealthix. And these picks are just coming thick and fast. Oh, the flash into the cocoon onto area as well. More flashes coming down. The Dark Binding. There's the puddle. Stealthix getting another kill. The exhaust immediately onto Forever Together. He can't come in.
And that's 2 picks, 30-second death time, as you would think this might even be the Baron. No, electing to go for the top turret. I don't know if that's a wise move. They will pick up an objective for their troubles, but I think that with these death timers, it's 35 minutes in the game. They definitely could have turned their eyes towards that Baron.
They could have wanted to play it a little bit safe, not wanting to do a bit of a throw move on that Baron, which has been known to happen. Now Qlimax Crew members are just going to head back, spend up their money. Whether they can pick up any more exciting items. And Sybil has just shown exactly why his Elise is so feared. 2-0 and 6 now on his favorite champion, or at least his most successful champion.
Yeah, and for me, Moon's having a terrific game as well. 0-0 and 11, has been able to start up a lot of these team fights. Has now picked himself up an Aegis for some resistances, as well as an arm guard, so maybe even transitioning to that Zhonya's Hourglass, looking to become a bit of a late game threat himself.
Yeah, and I really like Zhonya's Hourglass, even on support Morgana, just because you can make sure that you don't die and you can guarantee the last tick stun of your Soul Shackles while you're in the middle of that team fight. Plus, people get slowed down a little bit with that tether, so...
Also, it's a really good zoning and anti-dive tool. If you're ever behind and you pick up a Zhonya's Hourglass, it just means that if they have to run past you with your ultimate on, as well as that Zhonya's coming through. Ooh, Dodger's out on that one.
Symphony going for the sort of last try gank bush. Not going to happen as Babip does come through.
But at least they've got control back over the dragon area, so able to, I guess, wrestle a little bit of it back. They've got the speed shrine as well. However, the danger is if they try and secure this one, Qlimax just can gun up mid lane and take that inhibitor turret.
Yeah, and they do have the wave pushing in the favor of Symphony in the bottom lane, but that's it as we have Qlimax Crew out-rotating the Symphony team members, and look at this tower going down so quickly. They're trying to go for the flank, but that inhibitor turret's going to fall down before they can even get there. On the hunt does get popped. Babip comes in, does have that Nara available, and look at these health bars melt. Only one person gets hit by the shockwave, and you can see Qlimax Crew just looking so huge. Forever Together falls down. Yo-Youngi's slowed down to high heaven. The boomerang's going to hit the boomerang battlers. And Babip coming out on top of that one as we have a celebratory Locket of the Eye and Solari getting popped. And Qlimax Crew just looking fantastic in that last team fight.
Yeah, what an absolute whitewash coming through from Qlimax Crew. 18-5, 0-0 and 4 for their support player. Bottom lane, just absolutely huge. They take the game out at 38 minutes with an 11,000 gold advantage.
That was massive. And man, Stealthix and Moon just played that game so beautifully, like you mentioned. And Moon coming through with clutch bindings, fantastic flash Soul Shackle plays when he knows that he can guarantee a kill. It was just beautiful execution across the board, and I don't think they're going to be allowed to get that kind of team comp because they play these picks so well.
Yeah, and the scary thing, it wasn't the Gnar pick.
No.
It was the pick composition that came out around the Ahri with the Elise and the Morgana, and they're just doing so much work. You really got to question the bottom lane coming out of Symphony as well. I know that First Mate has been thrown back down there, but just was not able to get enough done outside of lane as he would have liked. Wasn't able to impact these team fights, and you could really tell it was playing on their mind.
Yeah, it certainly was. And as the team fight
I think this
from
is the
the
last
very
fight.
end does come through, and we'll see exactly how this one worked out.
Yeah, so this is where they were thinking they could have Dragon, but in the end they got out-rotated, and they think they have to engage. Impaired, unfortunately, gets completely locked up, and there's just this tanky Gnar in the back line. Not a good enough shockwave came through, and from here it's just cleanup crew. Katie is so fed, able to continue to chase through. Stealthix, of course, doing a lot of work, and have to think if you gave that guy an optimized item build, how much more damage you would be doing, and they absolutely wiped them in that last team fight.
Yeah, they certainly did. And that was with actually Babib jumping in and then immediately transforming back into Little
Mini
Nah,
Nah.
which is a little bit unfortunate. Not exactly what you want to be doing if you're going to get the optimal Nah play out, because you can't use your ultimate when you're a Little Nah. You're also just
But he's
little.
just that adorable,
He
you
is.
don't want to hit him.
It's